All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure getting this interview set up, getting everything going with this. So excited to have the one, the only David Nakayama, the cover artist, the amazing artist of so many different covers, here with us today. Here he is. How's it going?
Hello, aloha from Hawaii. How are you guys today?
Doing good. And also with us today is Mike from the Spider's Lair.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Aloha, my brother. How
How's
are
it
you,
going?
man? Oh,
Good to
man, it's
see you
been a
again.
minute. Oh, I wanted to apologize. So sorry I didn't make Comic Con for MegaCon. I got caught up with work, but I'm definitely going to be there next year. But I am working hard at book 2 right now as we speak. But how are you doing, David? Oh, my God, you've been... Yeah,
Good.
blowing up all over the place.
We just saw each other in New York, so you don't have to apologize. Glad to see you.
But I wanted to really be there because I had the whole crew. We were all gonna hang, but it's all good. You know, like my job. That's what it was. My job. I don't know if you know or not, but I kind of work for Hollywood and I do like weird jobs, odds and end jobs. But I was supposed to work, and then they told me at the last minute they didn't need me, so I was like, But it's all good. I'm definitely making it next year. But how was MegaCon? I heard it was a really blowout. I heard it was a good show.
I think MegaCon is the #1 show from a fan excitement, interaction. I definitely do better at that show than most shows. The only possible contender beside that is New York. Those two are definitely the top 2 shows.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Oh, that's good though. We're very happy for you. Like all the covers, we got our Thundercats somewhere around here. Matter of fact, I think I got them laying right here. I was trying to buy as many covers as I could find for you because when I see you next time, your hands are gonna be a little tired. But I digress. Good. You guys talk. Talk. I'm going through these stuff right now, guys.
We were talking about like the Spider-Gwen covers you've been doing. The Catwoman is like the one you're doing right now. But where did you get inspiration to start doing like even just artwork in general?
I don't know. I've talked to a lot of professional comic people, like, how did you get started? What did it take? And it kind of seems like you're sort of born with it. Like there's this innate urge to make art, kind of, and it's free floating, and it kind of needs to find a place to land, sort of. So when I was a kid, I remember like I was looking. I knew there was something I was looking for, and the first place it landed was, like Garfield.
Garfield.
Sunday Comics.
Okay.
Hey, there's a cool drawing style. Maybe I can learn how to do that. And then when I discovered Jim Lee's X-Men in the 90s, then it was over. I was like,
it's a wrap.
This is what I've been waiting for my whole life,
Nice.
So I started reading comics. I immediately on the spot decided that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And then it was
awesome.
Just the minor problem of getting the skills over 20 years to do it.
I was going to say, I've got the inspiration to draw, but I don't have the skill.
I always explain it this way. It's exactly like earning a black belt in karate. Like it just takes a long time to develop skills. It's that 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. That kind of thing. So anyone can do it. It's just like, do you have the willpower to endure the unfun part of it before you get to the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That's so true. And I always say that like experience is the best teacher. And like when I started doing my art, doing the comic and everything, I just was like one day, I'm just going to do it. But I guess I had like the enthusiasm and the will to make it come to life. And I think like from an artist perspective, that's another thing too, that is burning deep inside of all the artists is to bring something out of us, to bring it into the light of the world. I think it's the greatest gift we can give anyone. So when I'm doing art and stuff like that, and I'm looking at artists like David, I'm always inspired because I think like in a way, like it's a good thing to have this community. We're all feeding off each other in a way that's positive, and it's a growing industry. I love that how David Nakayama found his style and he started perfecting the negative covers, which I always love those.
Yes.
Like those are like hottest. I mean, like even this one, I love this one, the Spider-Gwen Smash. It's so dope. Yeah, But go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Where'd you
excited.
where'd you get the idea to do the negative covers from? Was that like something
Yeah.
that Marvel came up with, or was that something that you were just like you presented to them? How did that work?
Yeah, it was kind of an accident, you know.
Okay.
It's weird because it turned out to be such a long running and popular, series. We do these variant covers with Unknown Comics, my retail partner,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just kind of doing this, doing that. We did a Pirate X-Men thing for one cover.
Okay.
It's just kind of doing fun stuff. And I had a Scarlet Witch cover coming due, and I knew that I didn't have enough time to do what we had originally planned to do. So I was kind of racking my brain, like what can I do that is still going to look cool, be worth it for people to buy? Because
Yeah.
Right.
that's the retail covers are about grabbing that eye and making a thing that people feel compelled to buy, right? I guess
Definitely.
all covers are like that, but especially with retailer covers. So, what can I do that looks cool but isn't going to take me a week to draw? And I thought, well, maybe if I kind of work smarter, not harder. Like
There
I
you
don't.
go. I
Yep.
love that saying. I say it all the time. Yes.
So there's this thing called negative space. That's always out there. Every artist has done a negative space cover from time to time. It's fun.
Yeah.
But the thing I didn't like about negative space is, let's say you have a yellow background and Cyclops' gloves are yellow. Now Cyclops got no arms. It just looks
Yeah.
really weird. So between the need to get it done in a reasonable amount of time and the desire to not make it flawed in the way that I feel negative space covers are
Right.
flawed, that's
Mm-hmm.
where it came from. So necessity is the mother of invention, I guess.
Exactly.
Truth.
Wow, that's great. I mean, like, I'm telling you guys, like, I've been racking my brain. Okay, I got a little stuck on my comic, so, and like you say, yeah, the cover's everything. So I'm not trying to show off, but this is like, of course, this is a negative red cover, by the way. This was originally orange, but I'll tell you the story about this cover. What happened was when we were making the comic, and I had the actual layout that Waylon did the art for me, Waylon Weathers, that did this cover. What happened was there was just like a discrepancy on the art itself, like a little bleed out. I don't know exactly what happened, but something bled out on it. So I started looking at, like, I always have David Nakayama's covers like right up on the wall, and I'm looking. I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can
Yeah.
get it to match that color. No, I'm not
Yep.
even. I'll hold this up to any of your books. That's the color.
Yeah.
Negative red, and it
Well,
actually
you're
blended
getting
in
at
so
something.
good. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Oh, I was going to add, you're getting at something interesting there, which is that, what you see on your screen is RGB colors, and what you see in print is a totally different set of colors, CMYK.
Yeah.
It's printed from 4 different
Yes.
inks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you use one of the main inks, like if you use that red, that level of bright red, it prints amazing, like almost like
It
a
looks
neon quality because it's so pure and so bright. So I find that
yes.
red and I find that cyan really
Hmm.
look great when you use it in a pure way.
How
And
much do you have to
we
think about
agree.
that when you're drawing your covers?
A little bit. I was just talking to Anna Zhao about this, who's another artist that works with Unknown Comics. And when you're working in Photoshop, you work in RGB because most of the tools work best in that mode. But in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking that all these colors at some point are going to run through a printing press. So you have certain tools in Photoshop, like Command Y changes the color mode from one to the other, so you can see how badly it's gonna fall apart in the printing
Okay.
process. And as you're
That's
going, you're
good to
trying
know.
to keep colors in the realm of possibility, right? Like you can easily on the screen make something that looks amazing, but would never print. It'll turn
Yes, that's true.
into dull mush if you're not careful.
Yes, that's very true. I did experience, like, when I was first putting together the comic, like certain certain colors I was using for certain pages. Like, I didn't Photoshop it, which I should have, but I've been playing with photo. I don't know. Like, you ever find a tool that works for you and it's just not conventional, but it somehow works for you? So I'm unconventional in that manner. But I do I am messing with Photoshop now. And I'm uploading all my stuff, and yeah, I find, like, when I'm doing any kind of colors that are darker colors, like I do, like I said, the negative reds, I love those. I love the blacks, the reds, the whites. Those are my favorite colors to work with. I find that how you present those and what you put in the background, those also makes your art pop good as well. So this is just like I'm literally doing like my panels right now. I started to, because my art is panels, but I was paneling as well. I started to say, you know what? I started taking some art that we had, and I started putting together all these weird panels. And I'm gonna share something a little bit later. I just don't want to share too much because it's gonna give away the story too much. That's the only thing. It's just so detailed now. It's like it's really gonna be an improvement from the first one. But yeah, I mean, we learned a lot just watching a couple of your videos. If you guys don't know, he has a great YouTube channel. Go check it out because we watch it a lot. And you know, those are where the secrets are at. You know, those are where the secrets are at.
Well, as a matter of fact, I just made a deal with, I don't know if I can say who it is yet, but you know those online courses where there's video tutorials in great detail with narration,
like masterclass stuff like that.
Well, Khan
one of
Academy,
those.
I know Khan Academy, one of those. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, I just made a deal with one of those. We're gonna start work on it soon, but it'll, unlike my YouTube videos, which don't have any narration, are basically just fed up time lapses. This time it'll be full narration as we're going step by step. That's going to be pretty cool. I've never done one before, but it's coming soon.
Sign me up.
So
sign me up.
That gets me into like the style that you do. Like a lot of your stuff is very accentuated, especially with women. And I mean it's very amazing, pleasing to the eye and stuff. Where did you get that style from? Like where did that just come out naturally? How did that kind of start forming?
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee is, come on. Jim Lee is George Washington on my comic book Mount Rushmore. Like that will always be true. That was the gateway drug. But when you get into comics, suddenly there's this whole world of different people to discover and latch onto. And for me, early on, it was Adam Hughes. I was really blown away by what he was doing. It's like a magic trick what he can do, and I still can't replicate it, but I tried for a long time. Then for me, I kind of went on this weird journey after having drawn interior comics for many years. I did a 12-year detour through video games, and in video games there's no pencilers. That's not a thing. You got to be a painter. So I had to like rapidly learn how to color and paint and do different video game styles. And eventually when I worked my way back to comics, it became this unusual combination of traditional comics and that digital painting stuff that I'd learned in games. And you can probably see that in the work, because what's really going on under the hood, it might look like it's inked and then colored, but what actually is going on is it's a painting, and then I put some lines on.
Nice. That's good. See, I love that.
You said you use Photoshop for like your drawing, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Is that where you started? Is that okay.
Well, you know, if you're learning like to digitally make art now, it seems like the hot tool is something like Procreate. You know, for a minute, a few, like I want to say like 10 years ago, Painter was a big deal. But for me, I learned how to work in Photoshop, and because the keyboard commands that are going on the side, I have muscle memory there. I don't have to look while my left hand is, automatically doing X, Y, and Z. And that's not how Procreate works. So I can't make Procreate do what I want to do easily, and it frustrates me. So I guess it's like an old dog can't learn new tricks thing. But I'm stuck with Photoshop, and I like it.
But also,
why teach an old dog new tricks when the old trick works just as well?
That's
a good way of looking at
it.
As
well as the old dog. But I did talk to a lot of creators, a lot of people who are making comics, and I will say this much: everybody does agree on one thing. Photoshop is the way to go. So honestly, it's not the only one who feels that way. There's quite a few creators I know. Shout out to Patrick Hickey Jr. from Legacy Comics. He knows, and he's one of them that feels the same way about this. In fact, he's kind of like my professor. So I've been learning a lot about. I've been getting like advanced tips on Photoshopping, but I'm gonna be hitting him up pretty soon once everything comes together for point. But yeah, I've been talking to a lot of artists, talked to Will Torres, and they all tell me the same thing that Photoshop would be the way to go, and it seems like everybody in the industry is mostly using Photoshop anyway. So yeah, I would say for anybody who's looking to get into this, go on your phone, go on your computer, mess with the Photoshop. It's the best thing. I did a Photoshop for my first book, but it was the Photoshop that comes on a phone. I guess it was the free version. I had no idea like there's different versions you can get. And then I'm looking at my computer, and everybody's like, "You have Photoshop on your computer." So, because I'm really on the computer now, I live my life on my phone, so it's like everything's on my phone. It's like my computer, my walking computer. So then I get on and I'm like, "Oh, look at this," and I'm like, "Wow, I wish I would have done that for the last book." But yeah, I definitely say Photoshop is something I'm going to master. And whenever you have these courses, I'm signing up for the David Nakayama course. I want to be a first student.
Thank you.
But yeah, this is an amazing time. And so David, what do you have coming up for any future projects? Like, what do you like? Thundercats, first of all, we just want to say that we got a couple of those covers too. That cover's amazing. We loved it. That was a great cover. I really like that. So what else do you have coming in the future that we could be expecting soon? Any Spidey stuff? Come on, we talked about Green Goblin last time. We gotta get this going.
Did you go to the store this week? This week there was a Mayday Parker homage cover.
Oh, I missed it. You see, no, I actually didn't go this week. This is the one week I didn't go. I go like every week. I'm usually there every Saturday, so you're gonna make me go out after this interview.
Well,
I still have to hit the gyms.
if you're a Spider-Man fan, and I mean, looking at your screen, there's no way you're a Spider-Man fan, right?
A little bit.
Maybe this is for you, but I finally got to draw Mayday on Edge of Spider-Verse #1. They had a bunch of really good variant covers, but they let me do a homage of that Spider-Girl 1 cover from many years ago that people remember fondly, so that was fun.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, definitely. No, I gotta pick it up. You hear it? It's out there in the stores right now. Go get it before they're gone. Dig in the back. They just don't. They put all the good stuff in the back. They don't dig in my neighborhood. I just pull out. I'm like, oh, look at this one. Here's another D.NA. Here's another one. I found like 2 of your negative covers on in the local shop, and I'm like, you kids miss this? They don't go. It's like they don't dig. The guy, we have an old school guy, he's an old schooler, so they'll put all the stuff in the back and in the middle.
Yep.
And these kids they'll just take the first. No, you gotta go way in the back. Gotta look. Gotta dig. It's like
one of the ones that I picked up recently, I think this was 2-3 weeks ago, was this.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Poison Ivy cover.
Ivy, that's hot.
These ones have been amazing.
Yeah.
I love the contrast between the red in her hair and the red in the roses. It's amazing what you can do with the different colors and all of that. It's awesome.
Well, what's very exciting about that piece is it stands alone. You would never know there was more to it, but there's actually the next 2 covers combined to form one gigantic triptych.
Oh, I love that. That's what's up. I love those connecting covers.
The one you have is Classic Ivy, and the next one coming out in just a couple weeks here is like Hush era green-skinned Ivy. Okay. And then there's the final one is her modern like fungal outfit from the current series. And they all link together with, all the vines and roses are intersecting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that looks good. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to get that covered too.
My buddy loves the connecting covers, and he actually had like 5 or 6 Rick and Morty connecting covers, all framed in one frame. And he goes, I don't know how to do it where the comics aren't touching each other, so like they get ruined. And I was like, we'll figure something out for you. they might be like a inch apart or something, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know how you were going to math it or something. I don't know how you would actually do that. They don't have mats that accommodate something like that, but who knows?
I mean, with connecting covers coming out, maybe that's the next $1 million idea in comics.
There you go.
Maybe.
All right, let's 2, 3, 4. Connect this to something. I don't know. We got some ideas. I did like the connected covers from David. I'm not for Gabriel the Auto. The Death of the Venomverse. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was like 6 covers. I mean, I'm just trying to find. Oh, that looks sick. I would like to get it, but where would I put it? That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
Just build another room.
I do, and that room's full too. I'm telling you, it's getting to a point where I'm gonna have to buy another house.
That's collecting.
But I love this stuff. Yes, exactly. I think when I say that, when people say they collect, like I look at them and I go, "You really collect?" And then they see my stuff, they go, "No, I don't collect that. I'm sorry for saying that." And then I shame them into collecting, and then a year later they'll have a room full of stuff like I do. So I'm like, good for you guys. But yeah, true collector since I was a kid. I've been like collecting Spider-Man since I was like 6 or 7 years old, and just buying them every week buying them. I just kept buying them, putting them away, storing them. I mean, some of them were classics, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I remember having the original Punisher. I remember buying that as a kid, and I was like, because I'm that old, and I remember having that comic, and I gave it to somebody for something else, and it wasn't worth what I traded it for. But that's okay, because I do have one more copy of it. I gave him like my reader copy, because even when I was younger, I always say to everybody, like, I know you can read things online and it's digital and all this era, but nothing feels better than opening up a comic or getting that new comic sent out of it and just read it. I always buy one to read, and I buy one to just put away. If you could do it, that's what I always say: one to read, one to save and put away for a rainy day. Who knew CGC was going to be a thing? I have all these classic comics, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with them? And they're like, well, you can start encapsulating them. So I started doing CGC, and that's how all that started happening. And like almost all those books up there are like everything I bought from I was a little kid. So it's just crazy. Like I was walking around at like 8 years old with like a long box of comics by that point. I literally had like that was like a lot of comics for me back then. But I've just been a fanatic. So, but you know what? I always wanted to make comics, but the problem was I just never figured out how to do it. And I tell people like this: I don't care what it is. Just go do it. Find a way. It's okay. There's always a way to do something. Don't let obstacles like, oh, I don't have money. Oh, I don't have talent that much. I have a little bit of talent, and I have some money, and I also have a drive. And if you got these things, you can make it work. And I really say this to all creators out there: go create, please. Yeah. David, don't worry. One day we're gonna have something special for you if you have time. Trust me, I have a nice couple. We're gonna be talking in the future if you have time. But I am working on all the books and stuff like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Again. So, David, the question I have for you is, in my circle, you're known for your cover stuff. You said you've done some interior stuff. What do you like doing more?
Well, when I started, I did some interning with Top Cow and did series like City of Heroes for over a year. Then later with Marvel, I did Hulk for over a year. And Big Hero 6 for 5 issues, so I was on it for several years, like just doing interior pencils. Nice. And the experience I kept having was that I would kill myself. You really only have about a day per page. If you really think about it on the calendar, you have a day per page, and it's not enough time to put in all you want. So every day it's like, there's just sort of this moment where you're like, I didn't quite get it where I needed to, but I have to move on, right? So that you take some pride in the fact that you did it, but it is frustrating. You got to move on. Then you hand it off to other people like inkers and colorists, and it's luck of the draw, right? And in my early career, I more often than not got collaborators that changed things in ways that I didn't like. So for me, it was just an unpleasant feeling at the end when that thing finally came out. I just didn't recognize myself in it anymore. So, I mean, you can fairly call me a control freak, but that is just how I felt about it. And by the time I got through, video game stuff where you are on your own, you're doing your own stuff, I was like, this feels better to me. Like when I'm coloring my own stuff, when it's just me, I can relax a little bit. It's easier on my heart to just do it myself, and and do it the way I want. And so I've just evolved that way, and I feel more comfortable in my own skin, just doing everything these days.
And you know what? I can absolutely 100% agree with everything you just said, because I'm telling you, like, I'm thinking about as he's speaking, and I'm like, well, this is the reason why I started my own comic book company, because it's true. Like, okay, I don't have much of a deadline, let's say, but I am my own boss. And it's my own flow, and it's fun for me to do, and I'm having a good time doing it. And it's not anything that's work. and
Yep.
I collaborate with my artists and we work together. And then if I see something that my artist does and I like, and I'm like, oh, let's do it. You know, like I actually had the exact same.
Yeah.
I have the exact opposite effect when I'm working with these artists. It seems that we are absolutely getting each other and then we're putting it out. But we are taking on time. And yeah, there is something to be said about having that kind of control and freedom. It's not that you're a control freak. It's that it's your work and you want it to look the way you know you want it to look. It can't explain to someone. You just got to do it.
The opposite way of looking at it, though, is like, if you're smart and you can get a good collaborator, your output expands so much. So you look at someone like Dan Mora. You know, Dan Mora can do everything himself, but on something like World's Finest, he's got a colorist that he trusts, and they've been able to put out consistently. I think they're on in the 20s of issues now, where he's been the artist, that's been the colorist, and he also does like Shazam on the side and all kinds of covers on the side. So his output is greater. It's been multiplied by the fact that he works with collaborators he can trust. But that's just not how that's not how I evolved. I didn't meet those people who I could trust in my early
I understand. Right, I understand. And that's I mean, like, I actually was getting lucky, and as I was meeting artists, they were getting what I was doing, and I was like, I just got lucky, I guess, in that sense. And I was finding the right people at the right time. But I also feel, though, like, to be also, it's a two-way street, because it's how you communicate and effectively, like when I'm writing, let's say, and someone's reading my script, like my artist is reading he'll get what I'm saying. That's good. That means that my output of what I'm trying to put out into the world it's clear. And I feel like also there's something to be said about having that kind of ability to be able to sit with people, because not everybody can do it. But there are certain people that can just sit down, and I could sit with you, David. Trust me, we can make something work, and it'll come out sweet, and you will love it, and we will both be happy, because I'm that kind of person. Like, I listen, and I pay attention, and I know what his style is. He knows what my style is, and we start to say, okay, well, what do you think we could do? And I just feel like collaboration is something that, like with anything, it's a skill that you got to just work with people, and this is something that over time you become better and better at. And like David said, he had to learn. Like, I was learning, like, I know what he means. Like, I felt isolated and doing my own thing. And the hardest thing is to find the right people to collaborate with. But once you do, like you're saying, your output becomes more, which also frees you up to do other projects. And this is how you keep the wheels going. And this is why I'm always going to collaborate with whoever I can, as long as y'all have me.
Well, and I think the craziest thing is like, in this current market that we have of comic books, variant covers and variant artists are the new norm. Like, that's what we're getting so much. And there's, like you said, you're with Unknown Comics. There's so many of these comic book companies putting out their own retailer variants that I've never even heard of. Like, there's ones that pop up on Instagram and Facebook, and they're like, oh, look at this cover I just did with so-and-so. And I'm like, when did you come on the scene?
Like, well, you know, but you're right, and I've been paying attention to that market a lot. Like, that's a big part of my business, and I've been watching it evolve, and it sort of just appeared out of nowhere, you know, a few years ago, as variant covers became a bigger part of the market. Like, there's obviously a lot of thirst for that. A lot of people want to get those. It's cool to have a special, you know, unique item. I totally get that, and you know, it seems like there are a lot of those retailers, but as you say, also, like, they come and go very quickly. It's a difficult market to persist in. Like, it's not, you can get one or two going, but to stick around in the market and be a player for, you know, years consistently, that seems to be a lot harder right now. And so I give a lot of credit to, you know, guys like Darren who run Unknown, or, you know, some of the other folks out there that, you know, if you've seen them for a few years, it's kind of a miracle, you know. Like, the market is tough and is consolidating even as we speak, you know. Like, if you're sticking around, it really shows that they're doing something right.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that, especially while everything's changing with technology and everything. But like, I also feel like I'm just gonna continue to grind. That's it. No matter what. This is what I love doing, and I'm just gonna continue to grind, going to the cons and do what I gotta do, and just putting out good stories and trying to put out the best art and trying to tell it in the best way that I possibly can. I mean, I'm passionate about this. I really am. This is something that my only regret, if I had any, was that I should have started sooner. So that's why I tell everybody, if you think about doing anything, don't wait. Just do it.
Yeah.
We're not guaranteed time on this world. And when you start getting old, you start to realize that's the one thing that you're never going to get back. You can make all the money in the world. You can lose all the money in the world.
Yep.
But you'll never get any of that time back.
People always are like, you're on a lot of stuff. Why are you on so many things? I'm like, well, it's because I feel like I've been waiting for the opportunity for literally 35 years. And I don't know when anyone's going to offer me whatever Thundercats.
Right, exactly.
Again,
Grab it all.
It's never been offered before, so
right.
how can I assume that will be a thing that'll happen in the future? So when you see me jump on something, that is because it's too juicy, like too exciting to my personal fandom, which is really why I do anything. If I do anything, it's because I was a fan of it when I was a kid, or that nostalgia is usually pretty strong, I find.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, welcome.
And that's true. Like I feel the same way when it comes to I'm very nostalgic when it comes to the Spider-Man stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't know how you felt about comics getting into it, but for me, when I got into comics when I was younger, I was raised very I'm gonna say very religiously. Like, I was raised very strict Roman Catholic. Like, we were in church every Sunday. So it's like I had the Bible in one hand and my Spider-Man comics in the other hand. And I swear, I used to go to church. I used to take the biggest Bible I could find and read my Spider-Man comic while Mass was going on. But I bring that up because when we're talking about nostalgia, like, this is what I think about. Like, comics for me, like, really helped me. I guess also because I was into religion at that point. Between religion and comics, it actually, like, at least, like, I can't say for what's being written today, but I know from when I was growing up, there was like a sense of morality in these comics. I really grabbed onto, like, the justice side. Like, that's why I like Spider-Man, because Spider-Man made a mistake, and then that mistake and wind up costing him his loved one. And so, for no matter what he does, it doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. He becomes the cosmic Spider. It doesn't matter. No matter what he does, he can never make that mistake right. Yeah.
I totally vibe with that. Like, Mark Waid once said that his politics are influenced by comics, and he's absolutely right. Like, the strong protect the weak is a thing I learned from Superman, or Captain America.
Yeah.
And to this day, it informs my politics,
Right. like with me with Spider-Man, what really got me is not even Spider-Man, it's just what Uncle Ben said. Like, with great power comes great responsibility. And as a kid, when you hear that, you don't really understand what that means, but you start thinking about it as you're growing up, and you start seeing things. And I'm like, wait a minute. So this is like that inception that you get put in your brain when you're younger. So that means one day, if I have great power, which I wind up having great power, I'm going to be responsible with it, which I wind up being uber responsible with it. And I feel that is part of the politics influence, and also the fact, like I said, it's just something that as you're growing up, it makes sense.
It's a good message, a good way to live your life. They're good moral I don't know, things to believe in. I gotta make a quick note, guys. I have about, looks like 6 minutes before I gotta go finish my Deadpool cover. So if we need to do any contests or Q&A or anything like that, we got about 6 minutes.
Yeah. One of the biggest questions I have for you: what is that one character that either you already have drawn and love to draw, or have not been able to draw yet, like for a cover or whatever, that you really would love to jump on?
Right? It's funny, like, someone at one of my, I don't like to, tell people's emails if I'll keep it under my hat who I'm talking about here, but someone at a big company that I work for actually took the time to ask what I wanted to draw the other day. And I gave him a list of no one had ever really asked that from this company, and it really touched my heart, and I gave a list. So for each company, it would be different characters, but like for example, at Marvel, I've always wanted to do a run of Captain America, kind of for the reasons we were
Okay.
just talking about like 5 minutes
Exactly.
ago, about
Yeah.
him being a pure superhero who's about justice and doing the right thing. I feel like I have something to say with Captain America. No one really think of me at this point for it, but that has always been something I wanted to do. And I still want a shot at, who wouldn't want to have a Batman run, or who wouldn't want to draw
Yes.
Transformers or the Turtles one time, like these are things that I still have on my bucket list, but we're
Okay.
working our way through the list.
Nice.
And we know you're
And
going to
is
get
there-
to every single one of them.
What?
And so we know you're going to get to every single one of those, so we're not even worried about it. We'll be there
Hopefully
buying
one
them.
day. Hopefully one
I would
day.
love
But
to see your take on Batman. Batman's
Oh,
one
I
of
would love to
those
see, yeah.
characters that I like, and I like
Yeah.
the movies. I've never been able to get into the comics for one reason or another. I've picked up a couple over the years, and they're a good read. It's not like the writing is bad. It's not like the artistry is bad. It's one of those things where I feel like I'm either getting into it too late in a run, or it doesn't speak to me the way that other books do. So I'm like, I don't see a need to continue to pick these up. Now, obviously, like Flash, he's one of my favorite characters. I stopped picking up his comics for the longest time because I couldn't get behind the writing. Like there were times when I would pick it up for the cover and I wouldn't even read it because I wasn't a fan of the writing. Similar to like what's going on,
gold standard, I'd say.
similar to what's going on with like Harley Quinn right now. The Harley Quinn writing, I think it was under Phillips, was absolutely amazing. And then the current run it's still good, but like that was so great that it's like, okay, now I need to like reset my expectations for this new writer.
It always comes down to writer. Like the writer is so critical to, like, you ever look at Alan Moore when he was doing like Supreme for Rob Liefeld?
Oh, yes, yes. I love Supreme.
The art is not great. Let's be real. It's really not great. It's not Liefeld. I'm not dogging on Liefeld, but the person he hired to draw those comics was not the best. But it's freaking Alan Moore, and they're some of the best reads you'll ever encounter. I treasure those comics, and it's not because of the art. The art is sort of secondary. It's purely because the writer is everything. That's when I learned that the writer is more important than the artist. It's just the story flows from the writer. So no matter how good or bad the art is, it's going to really hinge on what that story is.
Yeah, I always say that. Yeah. To me personally, I always say, I can always get behind the comic so long as the art is good, but the story's great.
Yeah.
And I feel the same. I always say that in almost all my videos. You'll hear me say that. As long as the art's good and the story's great, and you're right. I get it, because there's certain artists I feel opposite, but I feel this way. When you have all these artists in the world and you're making a story, anyone can draw that what you put in the world. They can improve on it. They can, and that's what I want in the future. I want many people to touch my book.
The artist is additive. Like you have to have a competent artist at a minimum. But the better the artist is bringing that writer's story to life, the better the comic's going to be. But you could have like a very mid artist or like an adequate artist, and it's still going to be a good comic. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, and because like I said, when you have something that you got, like with Supreme, because I know what you're talking about, because I read Supreme when I was younger too. And I mean, if you guys don't know Supreme, he's really like if you can imagine Superman, but like a Homelander type. Like he just doesn't play; he'll kill you. That's it. He does not play. So I like story. So when you see like that kind of story, like you reading things that are a little different from what you're normally not used to reading, you start to gravitate towards that. And that's what I feel like. For me, like with Batman, when you were saying about Batman, it's never too late to get into Batman. So you stop that right now, mister. I got plenty of old Batman. I'll hook you up. But Batman,
I was going to say that
because
we had sorry to interrupt you there. We did have Batman show up on a couple of covers of Catwoman. So it's out there if you want to see what my Batman looks like. But there was a crossover series called The Gotham War recently, in which those two characters have a philosophical disagreement about how to deal with crime in Gotham. Very good
Okay.
read on both sides, on the Batman and the Catwoman side. Maybe a good place to start. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you see?
it was
I've
cool to
noticed
draw
some of the
Batman.
mini series of Batman are good to get into because you can just jump right in and then jump right out.
Yeah.
Like the I Am Batman run, I enjoyed that one. It
Hmm.
wasn't great, but it was enjoyable. The Dark Multiverse was fun to see. Thomas Wayne as Batman instead of Bruce. That was a fun
Yeah.
run. But yeah, like I said, with all the stuff that I do pick up, everything that's off screen right now, it's also like a money thing.
Yeah, there's always that. Yeah.
Like, you know, 25 to $30 a week on
Definitely.
comics, I'm okay with. If I start spending $50 a week, I'm gonna have to get a second job.
Yeah, right. It's tough. Gentlemen,
Oh, boy, I'm not gonna tell you where I spend the week on comics.
I hate to run,
All
but
good.
You gotta go, don't
I
worry.
have half a Deadpool cover to draw. I wish I could tell you all about it. It's very complicated in the background, is what I can say. That's what's going to keep me going all day.
Okay.
But it'll be fun when you see it.
No
Enjoy.
doubt.
Can't wait.
No doubt.
All right.
Hopefully
Thanks
we
for
have you
spending
back
time
on
with
again
me. I
soon, and it
appreciate.
was nice seeing you.
Always good to
No,
see
we
you.
thank you for spending time with all of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
It's my
and we will
pleasure.
be seeing
Thanks for
each other,
having me
of
on your
course.
show.
Of course.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for showing up. That was awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love talking to
Oh,
him.
man.
He's so down to earth. He's definitely like one of those
Oh, yeah.
artists that
Yeah.
you know knows he's really good at what he does, but at the same time doesn't sit there and brag on himself. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
there's
So
a
let me
lot of
tell you.
artists that get
Yeah.
into the comic book world or even other parts of the art world and they just sit there and brag on their work. And it's like, yeah, you're great, but can someone else like say that for a second?
Look, I'm gonna put it to you like this, right? I'll tell you guys. My first time we met David Nakayama, I believe this was about the pandemic times, 2020 or 2021. We went to the Comic Con, you know, the one we all want to. Shout out to Comic Con. We're gonna be there next year. We're gonna do it different. Trust me. Pizza parties. We're gonna have something coming on. You guys gotta come to the layer. I'm gonna work this out. We got plenty of time to work this out. But in the meanwhile, I went to Comic Con, and that was like the best one because you know, I got in, you know, I flashed my little ID and I got right in. And there's David Nakayama standing there, empty booth, nothing going on. There's no one there. It's just like I think at most you probably had, I think about 3,000 people there. So you know how big that space is. When we were there, there was 171,000 people there. Okay. So now like you see 3,000 people. That's like you saw no one. So here's David, and he's standing by his table, and I'm looking at his art, and I can't, like, at this point, like, I've been collecting for a while, but I've just been bagging and boarding, because what you said is true. If the writing's garbage, I won't even read it. I'll just bag it and board it. That's one thing about Spider-Man people. We'll just bag and board them if we have to. We don't care. But I do remember seeing, like, some of this guy's art, so I'm looking at him, and he goes, and I told him, I go, you know, you look familiar. He goes, you really don't know who I am? I'm like, not really, but I know you look familiar. He was intrigued when I said that. So he was like, you want to be my friend? And I was like, yeah, I'll be your friend because we be friends. Cool. So I started following him on Instagram, and we started talking. You know, I don't kill him all the time. I mean, he answers you more than he answers me, but it's all good. But I hit him up and stuff. And, you know, throughout the years, we were just like talking back and forth. And then like one day, like I'm sitting with the group of the people we know, like Sean Sold Twice, Luke from Luke Sketches, Waylon Weathers, Way Comics, all artists. Like, I'm just sitting there and I'm showing the guys my conversation there, and they're all like, "What the hell? What are you talking? Like, what?" They're like, "Do you know who this man is?" I said, "Yeah, it's David Nakayama." And they start showing me all the covers he's over there. I was like, "Oh, he's the one that did these covers. Oh, okay." So I was literally just hanging with a megastar, and he was so down to earth.
Yes.
Just exchanged info. Started following me ever since. Been friends with him for years. You seen when we showed up to Comic-Con, he was happy to see us both. I was like, hey, what's up? So David Nakayama honestly is one of the most down-to-earth people I ever met in my life when it comes to artists. He's an approachable person. Just don't smother him. No, I'm about to say he's very approachable, very kind person, and I love his personality. I love his energy, and I think that he feels the same way about me, because I think we kind of have like a similar crazy hyperactive personality, which I always love. That's how I get things done, you know. But that was my experience with him. And then like I introduced you guys, and I was like, I hope you guys hit it off, and you know, I'm glad that everything worked out. And this was a great interview. And if you guys stuck around, yo, thanks for showing up, because this was a big one for us. And as you can see, D.NA, we don't lie. We get the big shows. We get the big stars on the show, yo.
This is what we've been working on since October, just trying to figure out the timing and stuff.
Yeah. The time has always been off. Definitely.
I was like, you know, I've got a week off. I think Tuesday or Thursday, maybe even Friday would work. He goes, Friday, I'm going to be at a local con. Let me know what time Thursday would work best. So it ended up working out. And I mean, it like I said, it's so much fun to talk to these artists, especially ones who have been to the big leagues, because obviously we can talk to like, no offense to Waylon, but we can talk to Waylon all we want. We can talk to some of these smaller guys who have been to like the independent comics or have created their own comic, and they can tell you like what they've went through. But until you really hear like the stuff that goes on at the big like I said, the big three, the Image, Marvel, and DC, it's hard to understand truly how these companies work. And to hear like that people were taking his stuff and kind of changing it to the point where he didn't even recognize it shows that this is why, in my opinion, the variant cover started, is because artists really wanted to put their own spin on these characters
without being interrupted. Exactly. Yes. And this is, like I said, this is the reason why I started my own comic company, because I have ideas, but I didn't want my ideas to be somebody else's to be produced, so you could tell me how you want it to be. No. I'm a control freak. Like he said, he thinks that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing to me. I'm a control freak. I have control over all of my IP, my intellectual properties. This is my stuff, you know, and that's my baby, and I'm gonna love it like a child. I'm gonna cultivate it like a child. I'm gonna raise it up to be a college grad from Harvard, Yale, and Penn State all in one. That's how I'm gonna be treating this. Right now, it's just a baby. Right now, it's being fed formula, and I'm propping it up. But trust me, what you said is true, and what David does is absolutely the way that comics are going now. And I'm gonna have a cover for him to do one day. I'm gonna do the art, I'm gonna do the book, the story, and I'm gonna have David Nakayama do the cover for me if he has time. But definitely gonna make that happen. And yeah, this is like I feel like this is good for the artists, especially, you know, being in the business. Because the days of the movie star are gone. Okay. I mean, I'm telling you, who do you want to see at Comic-Con? The guy who plays Captain America, or do you want to see the man who made Captain America and get his book signed? That's what you want to see. Me personally, these are the stars, always have been, always will be. The artist.
Completely agree.
You know? I'm actually glad looking. I'm in the world. And
go ahead. I'm looking this up. No, so go ahead.
I'm glad I'm in this world now. Yeah, I'm glad I'm in this world now, because I got to see, like, you know, from behind the scenes how actually putting together a comic works. And even now, I'm actually like if you guys like book 1, I can't wait to show you book 2. I mean, like the paneling that I figured out how to do, it's amazing. Like because I was letting Waylon doing a lot of paneling, but I started seeing like my story was becoming more evolved, because there's more explanation in book 2 than in book 1 was more like a quick intro, but this book has a lot more detail. So I started to realize that, wow, with all this detail, I'm going to need a lot more work. So I was able to clip art that I already had and panel it out, letter it. Like, I'm just doing like, it's not anything that's done right now. I'm just doing like a rough copies of it. So when I get the artwork, then I can finalize the panels the way I want. But I'm going to tell you, it's coming out amazing. And I love doing this. This is like I'm telling you, I'm going to be giving lessons on this one day. Trust me. When you guys see book 2, like if you guys like book 1 and I like book 1, again, like I said, I give myself a B. This is going to be an A+ book. I'm telling you right now, because I'm going nuts with this. For 2 days, I sat down for 24 hours, and I realized, 2 days, 24 hours, 12 hours sitting there doing like about 8 of these pages. Like I'm talking, these are not the final product. This is just the layout. So when I get the final product, I feel it'll be so much easier to just. It won't be a
Mhm.
copy and paste. It'll be more like a copy, but placing it, but then editing everything so right, and then finalize the photo. Because like what he's saying is true too about the Photoshop. Learn that. That I tell that to everybody. Learn that. I do know Photoshop. I do it, but I did it a version on my phone. It's not the same, but it's. I played with Photoshop, so when I started messing with it, I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty much the Photoshop that comes on your phone. It's pretty much close to that Photoshop. I did pretty much all the editing and everything on my comic through my phone, pretty much. You know, I'm gonna use my computer for the second one for sure. But I like what he said, because what he's saying is true. I have a great feeling about my comic. I don't have to worry that it's gonna come out different. No, I get the final word. I am the boss. I love this kind of work, you know. And I just tell people, right, the first people say, what is your, when people ask me, oh, what do I suggest? What's my advice if I want to get started? My advice is just get started. That's it. I just one day decided, you know what, now it's time, and that's it. I bought a little flip book I started writing through. And then that's it. From that point on, I started making characters. Like in my mind, the way I was creating the comic was I was looking at you ever play video games, any video game, and you get character creation?
Yep.
That's how I started looking at comics. Like the first thing I was looking at is let me make characters. Let me make characters. And then I was making random characters, and then I started saying to myself, if I was this person and this character, what can I use as a power? And then I started
giving them a personality.
I given, like, that's how I developed Einstein. I started thinking of science and lightning wielding, and I started doing these badass drawings with Einstein back when he was in his infant stage. And one day I just started, like, because you know me, if you ever watch any of my stuff, guys, lightning's in all my videos. So one day I just thought about it. I was like, what about if I make him list like in a lightning pose? And he came out so badass that's how it started for me. And that one character, believe it or not, that whole thing I just told you is what sparked us the entire symbiotic universe. It literally like was the birth. And then I started making other characters, and then like I just started imagining them all together. Like, how can I put these all together in the world? And then I said, okay, so think about how you would write. And I started thinking about when I was in school. Subject, get the subject right, your predicate and your conclusion. Get these three things straight before you even start. That's it. Know your subject, know what you're going to be talking about, the story, the predicate of the story, like what's happening, and your conclusion. Like, do you have a natural conclusion? Because even though you could say, I want to be a comic writer and I want to write 1,000 comics, every comic has a series and every series has an ending. You can start another series, which that's what I plan to do. That's why when people ask me, this is a 6-part series, and I'm going to do another 6-part series. That would be
that's the thing. Like, not even coming out with a comic a month for the past 80 years.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man still isn't ending up to 1,000. Like that's a big undertaking. And I feel like there's a lot of people who don't realize the undertaking that really goes into a comic book. And David really talked about this. The fact that a comic is roughly 30 pages, depending on the comic, and you've got a month realistically to get a story, art, pencil it, put it out into the world, get it inked, get it colored, edited, all of that. You're talking about a page a day. So I have to, like, the writer has to have his page done. Then I have to look at that, his writing, put my stamp on it with my artwork, which is not just me drawing the character. It's me putting the story to life. In a way that the writer likes, and then saying, okay, here we go. Like, this is now what I really want to do with this. Like, that's a massive undertaking to do in a month with the 5 to 6 people they've got on staff, and then to edit it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's amazing to me to think about like what small creators like you and like Rogue Comics have to go through just to put out one comic, when you're talking about a character that is getting made literally from scratch. Like,
look at this real quick. So this is a panel I just worked on, right? You see this panel? I did that. It's not now what you're seeing here is not a final panel, but this is kind of what it will look like. But just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, this is all the art I used, and I just re-lettered everything, so you get an idea of what book 2 is going to kind of look like. I'm telling you, this is like so cool. This is another one I did it's real blurry, so you can't really see it. But I'm just showing you. This is like art that I already had. And I started repaneling.
Nice.
And I start. Yeah, I mean, like I'm dumb and I'm smart at the same time, people. I'm old school and I'm stubborn. I could have researched all this, but I don't know. I'm one of these people that like experience is the best teacher. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, wait a minute, why don't I just use my video editor? Like, because I know how to edit videos, edit my comic through the video editor, and guess what? It worked out perfectly. I mean, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's other programs I could use, but it's like you said, why use something like with Photoshop is considered old, but everybody uses it. That's why you keep using it. Why go to anything new if you can make the old stuff work good? Look, he's using Photoshop, and look at you're selling comics in the modern era. So what does that show you about Photoshop? If you can make it in the modern era, anyone can. So I mean, you know, yeah. Sorry.
We were talking about like cons and stuff and what people are really going there now for them. And like, yeah, people go to see the art, or so they go to see like people who bring these characters to life and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I'm looking at a con that's happening in Rochester at the end of May this year, and Linda Young, the voice actor of Frieza, is coming.
Nice.
And like, I loved Frieza growing up, but I have no interest to go see and talk to this lady and pay $100 for a picture with her.
What? No, $100.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things. It was a woman from, I want to say, one of the original Witches shows that was like from the 90s.
Charmed.
Charmed. Yep.
Yeah.
It was one of the women from that, and she was charging $100 to have a picture taken with her, a signature on that picture, and all of that.
And I'm like, who knows?
I don't know if I would ever pay $100 to meet anyone. But I did go sit in on the guy who was talking about his time working on Guardians of the Galaxy. It was one of, not an extra, but he was one of like the people in the background, like those C-list actors.
Yeah.
Who was on it. And it was amazing to hear what he had to say, but I'm not going to sit there and like go take a picture with this person and all of that, or go try to start up a conversation to get sold on taking a picture or a signature or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a corny environment. Some of it is,
yes.
You know, it is. It's part corny, part Hollywood, but that's always the nature of this kind of entertainment, or for that matter, almost every form of entertainment goes through this corny phase, I say. So, like when you're at Comic-Con, I mean, it's convention, but listen, it's got the con at the end.
Because then you've got Bob Budiansky from Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
There's another actress who is from the New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking. I have no idea. Comic book legend Bart Sears. Another voice actor from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And like, that's the people that they're bragging on of who's going. And it's like, I would want to go meet the people who have done comics before. I'm going to Comic-Con. Like, I'm not going here to meet a bunch of actors. I would love to, like, if they're the right person and I can go up and meet them and talk to them, great, let's do it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to go sit there and to go sit in a line for 2 hours just to see Chris Evans from 20 feet away. You know, like,
I hear you, man. You see
that's not on my bucket list.
Look, you see how I have a lot of weight online, okay? And I don't skip lines either. There is no lines in my world, but I hear you. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, you're sitting there 2-3 hours waiting for somebody. No, I'm good. I got too many things going on. I don't give a shit who it is. I don't care who it was. I'm not waiting on no line. That's it. But I've seen David, I'm walking up to him. That's what I always do. I don't care if there's a line. I saw him the last time. There was like 2-3 people. I walked to the side, and he gave me a hug. I was like, "Oh shit, it's David. What's up?" So, I mean, you know, everybody's looking like, "What the hell's going on here? Who is this?" Like, they're looking at me. Who is it? I'm showing the comic around. I actually told a couple standing right there. It was funny. I had this girl. She's like, "You're friends with David Nakayama?" I said, "Yeah, I'm selling this comic for $10." She's like, "Oh, cool." So I gave it to her. I was like, "Yeah, nice." So it's like, "Thanks, David. I made $10 just sitting there." We started laughing. But I like what he told me though, because it's true what he said. Like, not true. I don't know if it's true. I guess it's true because he said it. But he goes, you know, for years I've had people always tell me, "I want to start a comic, and you know," he goes, "But I remember you told me you wanted to do it." Here you are, you did it. I was like, yeah. He
Yep.
goes, that's the most important thing. Just do it. Exactly, people. You want respect from people? I want to tell you how you get it. Just go out there and do it. Don't cry about how hard it is. Just show everybody that you can do it, so you could brag about how easy it was for you to do it, even though you know it was hard as hell. It's not. Listen, making a comic is not the easiest thing in the world. But I'm going to tell you, and I wouldn't even recommend, if your heart's not in this, don't get into this. It's just like with anything that people do in life. Don't do it for the fortune, the fame, and the money. Do it for the love of what you're doing. And if you start out like that, you're never going to be disappointed no matter what happens to your company, your art, your comic, your story, whatever you're making, a movie, TV, screenplay, whatever happens to your property, you'll know that you have control of it from the get-go. And you go make it happen. I have a lot of plans for Symbiotic. I do have when we do the first 6 books, I have another artist that's going to render some of this art. So he's going to run into like a special AI engine, and it's not going to like change the art, but it's just going to like enhance it a little, give it more fleshy tones and stuff. Yeah, smooth it out. It's not going to change the art though. It's just going to smooth out the faces and the hands and stuff. Like he showed me a sample of how it looks, and it looks amazing. I was like, wow. So what I'm going to do is when I'm done with all 6 of those books, all that art will be rendered over. All the words will be kept the same, and I'm going to put that all together in a graphic novel that I'm going to have. I already have on the back burner waiting for me to give him the word. Will Torres is going to do the cover for Symbiotic. That entire graphic novel was done. So I have that already in the works. It's set and done. It's just a matter of me getting done. And like he was saying, like after I get off of here, I think I'm going to be creating a few more panels because I'm really close to finishing Symbiotic right now, guys. I was talking to Waylon yesterday. He's working on panels right now. The last couple of fighting panels that we need was going to be pretty much about 3 or 4 more art panels, but we're close. And I say real close. I numbered 29 pages I've done so far, but understand when I say 29 pages, let's say 30, right? So when you hear 30 pages, it's really 15 because everything's back to back. So when you're like, even when you're saying an average book has 30 pages, like it does, but it could have a little more or less because everything's kind of back to back. But I got about 28 pages.
You have no ads in yours.
But also that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to be putting up when the book is about to be released, I'm going to be putting up a special $99 ads in my book. That means you're going to be immortalized in my book. I'm going to do $99 ad, and I'm going to, whoever wants to put it, whatever your business is or whatever you want to do, I'll design it. You give me what your business is, give me a couple of photos, whatever you want. I'll do a nice graphic design of your business, and if you like it, goes in the book. $100. I'm going to be selling advertising for this book. I plan to do it for the first one, but the reason why I didn't was because I was still trying to figure out exactly how to work everything. But now that I see how to work everything, now the advertising comes easy. Plus, I have a lot of comic friends that I want to do ads in their books. So also, that's another thing. So if any creators are watching now and you have your own comic book company and you want to do, let's say, an exchange of ads, like maybe I advertise in your book and you advertise for me in your book, I'm down with doing that as well, because it's a hustle at the beginning, but everybody got to grind, and I have no problem helping out other artists, and I have no problem taking help from anybody or any advice, anything you guys want to hook me up with, or you can hit me up on my Instagram. I'm fine with that. The Spiders Lady. You can go to my YouTube channel. I take all advice, and I'm always down to collaborate,
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to get the hell out of here now because I got to still do paneling. Now David made me feel guilty, and I got to start paneling my comic.
He's got to go draw. I've got to go do other shit for school. Have a good one.
But it's all good. Are we gonna wait? Hold on. Are we gonna be on Friday? Are we going on Friday?
Yes. Yep. We'll be here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. Oh
yeah, tomorrow is Friday. Jesus, I thought it was Wednesday.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes of Bad Batch, definitely. I just want to talk about them real quick and do a couple spoilers for that. So if you're into Star Wars, make sure you watch. And then I also want to talk about Deadpool, the cameos and stuff. And then whatever else comes up.
Oh, and also And I do want to talk about Deadpool because remember I was telling you about the Super Bowl ad and no one got it yet. I told you we're going to see a major character in there and no one got it, but I know who the major character is, where he is on the video, and I'm going to show you where he's at. And I'm surprised nobody got this yet, but everything I said came true because I put it to you like this. We have a doctor coming, so that's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at that. So we'll talk about that on Friday, and I'm going to show it to you for sure.
All right.
So see you all later, everyone. Peace and love.
See ya.
I love it. I'm out. Bye.
Bye.